Putting your opponent into burnout can be game winning, but that's only the case if you're actually able to capitalize. I'm going to give an overview of burnout pressure from both the attacker and the defender's perspective. Firstly, how can you get your opponent into burnout? Well, there's a few things you can do to lower their drive gauge. The first is hitting them with a super. A level 3 super does about 1.5 bars of drive damage. This is almost always worth going for if it means burning your opponent out. Whenever your opponent blocks one of your attacks, this will also do some drive damage. Certain characters have attacks that do half a bar or more drive damage. Finally, you can make your opponent burn themselves out. You can do this by putting them in a situation when they're forced to spend the last of their drive meter. For example, you can pressure them and make them do a reversal. Now, what does burnout actually do? Most obviously, you can't use any actions that require drive meter. This means no drive rush, no parry, no DI, and no EX moves. All moves you block in burnout will be given an extra 4 frames of advantage. This enables a ton of extra block strings and frame traps. Special moves and supers will do chip damage on block. This makes blocking risky when you're on low health. If you get DI'd into the corner, you'll be stunned, allowing for a big combo. As a note on stun combos, if the DI is blocked, there will be more scaling. This means that if you can't reversal, it's worth blocking instead of getting hit. Once burnout ends, either because the timer ended or you were stunned, you'll be restored to full drive gauge, giving you a huge meter advantage. As an attacker, your aim in burnout should be to do as much damage as possible. There's a few ways to do this. Firstly, you can try to do as much chip damage as possible through using special moves. Secondly, by pushing your opponent into the corner and then hitting them with a DI for a stun combo. You can also get damage through stray hits, baiting reversal supers, and throws. As a defender, your objective is to get out of burnout taking as little damage as possible. You have a few options at your disposal. The best option is managing to take your own offense, as this will reduce the burnout time. Just be careful of drive reversal, as it's safe on block against a burned out opponent. If you use a level 3 super, your drive gauge will continue to refill while the animation is playing out. This significantly shortens burnout time. If you're not near the corner, it can be a good option to just block. You will take chip damage and you will give up screen position, but you'll also get some of your drive gauge back. If your character has good fireballs or zoning tools, you can try stalling and waiting for your drive meter to come back. You can also use a reversal super to try to get your opponent off you. Just be careful, because it can be hard to react in time and you risk getting baited. I'm now going to specifically talk about burnout loops. Burnout loops exploit the extra advantage on block to create a situation where the opponent doesn't have a window to hit back. They come in 2 types, burnout loops that you can loop forever, and burnout loops where the opponent will eventually be pushed out of range. These are character specific, so you'll need to experiment yourself. I recommend you watch top players of your character and see what they do. This burnout loop will push your opponent to the corner, and if it contains a special move, will also do some chip damage. Most burnout loops do have an answer, but they're usually specific to that one burnout loop. For example, in Manon's burnout loop, Manon actually has more advantage if you block than if you get hit. This is the kind of answer your opponent will need to lab for your specific character, so these are generally quite strong. Another answer to burnout loops is a reversal super, but this can be baited, leading to a full punish counter combo. In addition, fireballs will beat level 1 supers. In some cases, such as with Luke's corner loop, a level 1 super will get hit by the fireball, and Luke can then get a combo afterwards. The other situation I want to talk about in detail are DI setups. If you cancel a move into DI with less than a 5 frame gap, your opponent's only option will be to reversal super. There does need to be a gap. If there's not a 1 frame gap, then you'll get a lock, which will prevent a stun. This means that your opponent can always reversal if they're ready. For most characters, a heavy into DI or a drive rush medium into DI will have the right timing, but you should experiment. If the window is too large, the opponent will be able to counter with a back throw, putting you in the corner. The opponent can try to react with super, but this is easier said than done. Often, if the opponent is focused on buffering a super, they'll be less focused on their defense. Also keep in mind that a few characters, such as DJ and Dalsim, need 2 bars of super to get access to an invincible reversal. If you've got a lot of health left and your opponent has a long time before their burnout timer will end, it can sometimes be worth letting them reversal super. This puts you in the same position, but they no longer have a reversal. There are some other offensive options which are more character specific. If your character has strong fireball pressure, you can use this to chip. This is especially strong with characters like JP that can flood the screen with projectiles. You can also use stagger pressure. This is where you repeatedly use a move that's plus on block, and threaten a strike throw mix up after every time your opponent blocks it. Throwing is also an option. Just keep in mind that since the opponent can't parry, you're unlikely to get a punish counter. Any move that's usually weak to parry or reversals gets significantly stronger in burnout. For example, special moves like Ken's Jinrai kicks, which have a built-in high-low mix-up. You can also force a chip kill using a super. Make sure you get familiar with the amount of damage this will do, as if you're wrong, your opponent will get a full combo against you and you'll have used all of your meter. You should experiment with your character's toolkit to see what options they have in Burnout. You can also watch top players and see what they do. Burnout is a deep part of Street Fighter 6. I think it's more complicated than people give credit for. It also varies greatly from character to character. Hopefully this video has gotten you to think about how you can exploit Burnout more. Thanks for watching. For more educational Street Fighter 6 content, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.